I'm talking about the school days. Those days I got an opportunity to make some electronic products like the electronic doorbells, electronic pocket radios, all those things at the school days because of my exposure to the technical school, which I could sell to my peers. I mean, the other my friends at school, which helped me to earn some money.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Entrepreneurship Simplified. And this show is going to introduce you to those brilliant ideas and the biggest entrepreneurs who will help you decode the entrepreneurship to its roots, the real life situations, challenges, failures, and successes, and then how they actually manage to overcome them so that you don't need to repeat the same mistakes, rather focus on your growth to realize your dream of becoming the entrepreneur much faster. And this show is being done in association with Young Indians. Young Indians is a movement for Indian youth to converge, lead, co-create, and influence India's future. As an integral part of CAI, the Confederation of Indian Industry, a non-government, not-for-profit industry-led and industry-managed organization, is playing a very, very important role in India's development process. And if you want to take part of India's growth and be successful, YI is a place to be. And today's guest is a versatile and a very successful leader in information technology. And he started his career in major global automobile companies in the information technology. In 2014, he started his entrepreneurial journey. And very soon, his company, Axia, became a global automotive software and research company, currently serving world's leading car makers from Europe and North America, like Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Volvo, and Ford. He has vast experience in nurturing and scaling up high-performance teams. He also, is a chairman of Young Indians Trivandrum. Now it is called as Thiruvananthapuram chapter, and also a delegate to G20 YEA Summit in Japan. Help me to welcome Gigi Mon Alot Chandran, founder and CEO of Axia. Hi, Gigi. How are you doing?
Hi, Rajesh. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm very happy to share if it helps someone. Yeah.
And first of all, I want to say a big thanks for being part of this show. And I just want to ask this question, right? What triggered you to move from such a successful corporate stint as a corporate leader to becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. It was not actually moving out of the corporate to the entrepreneurial journey. It is something. Yeah, let me explain in the background how I got into the corporate life. Immediately after the college, I started my venture in my hometown, which is actually far from the Trivandrum city, 250 kilometers north to Trivandrum city. I run that organization for 2 years and realized I need some international exposure to expand my business. That's how I got into a company. That's why I got into a corporate before starting the second episode of my entrepreneurial journey. Maybe before that, let me explain why I started immediately after the campus, immediately after the college. Yeah, from the childhood, I had a passion for electronics. Maybe at the age of, I can recollect at the age of 10, 12, I used to kind of explore with the wall radios or the radios we had at the home. Definitely, all the experiments led to the state that all these devices become not usable. But maybe seeing that my passion for electronics, my parents decided to send me to a special school called technical schools, where I got an opportunity to get exposure to engineering fields like electronics, which actually was the kind of, I would say, which was probably the trigger to think more about the entrepreneurial, because during those days I really got fascinated to the electronics. I really got got fall in love with electronics. Maybe primarily the reason is that uh, uh, those days I was actually kind of like able to read books like Electronics for You and all such kind of books, and through that I actually got some experience on making some simple electronic devices. I'm talking about the school days. Those days I got an opportunity to make some electronic products like the electronic doorbells, electronic pocket radios, all those things at the school days because of my exposure to the technical school, which I could sell to my peers. I mean, my friends at school, which helped me to earn some money. I mean, I would say this is my first part of the entrepreneurial journey. The money I earned, definitely it was not a big money, but I was able to kind of like earn some money at that point, which helped me to buy more and more electronic books and helped me to strengthen my knowledge or passion for that. Maybe probably because of all these experiences, I thought like, okay, yeah, immediately after the college, I should try something my own. That was the reason.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So this is not a first entrepreneurial journey for you. So this is actually the second stint, what you're doing with Axia.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm seeing really a deep desire for you in really electronics. I mean, I'm already feeling kind of goosebumps. I'm going back in my time and then saying, oh my God, yeah. I mean, when there's a new electronic we used to see, oh, wow, okay, this is really something very nice. How come, this whole thing is coming on a mobile or something like that? Now, from that position to here, what kind of situations have actually helped you to follow your passion? It could be people, or it could be your courage, or it could be something to do with a specific course, like you said about the technical college. What kind of situations have led you all the way till here?
I talked about my first entrepreneurial journey after the college. What I was doing is that I was developing some software for the domestic companies. I worked for basically the shops, developing. I mean, even though I had a passion for electronics, when got into the college, based on some advices, I gone for the computer science. I did my computer science engineering. So I was really passionate. I was really passionate about the microprocessors and all. Was so proficient in programming. With that confidence, I started my own one man company. And through some of my local connections, I was able to kind of get some orders to develop the software for the shops. So those days, I'm talking about the year 1998, those period. The shops were kind of like getting computerized, and since I had the programming experience, since I had the confidence in writing programs, developing software, I took up the orders through some network locally and developed software, which was actually giving good amount of money. So then I continued for 2 years. Those days, the IT boom was kind of like picking up, and Kerala state government has set up Technopark, the first Technopark in the world, and in India. And some of my friends started working in Technopark for international companies like Hitachi, Mitsubishi, and all, and they were telling me the stories. Then I was kind of like, even though I started early than them, but it was in the domestic market. The stories from these people, like working for larger corporations in highly complex engineering systems, gave me a feel that, I should actually get some international exposure. If I need to develop, if I need to grow my company, if I need to grow my organization, I need to get an international exposure. Then that's the reason I stopped the first entrepreneurial episode. I moved to Trivandrum and joined a company in Technopark. Got an opportunity to work. Immediately after joining that company, I got an opportunity to work in Japan. that completely changed. I mean, I started as a software developer there in Hitachi Corporations. That changed my complete views on the quality of the products. I'm sure you might have heard about the Japanese quality standards. So yeah, the work style of Japanese people, I mean, the work culture, the quality culture, everything. I mean, I worked in Japan for 5 years, worked primarily with the Hitachi corporations. That completely changed my life, I would say. Till then, I did not I had an impression about what is this quality, whatever you do, and what is the importance of meeting the deadlines exactly as per the commitment. These all I learned from Japan, and that experience changed my life, I would say. And with that confidence, I always had this dream of starting my own. Building my own organizations. So then I thought, okay, I should build international connections through this corporate life. So to answer to your question, I would say my life at Japan, the initial 5 years, changed or helped me to start my second episode and to build an organization which is working for world's leading companies or world's best companies, I would say.
I totally love this story. I mean, see, many times it is always said that entrepreneurs are very much fixed. I mean, they're fixated about any idea they get into, right? But I can see, just for the sake of your entrepreneurial journey, you are so adaptable to actually come out of the journey to get that exposure and going all the way to Japan and then learning all this stuff, right? Is there any guidance through this journey that somebody said, hey, you're doing very well in your entrepreneurial journey, but if you want to go world class, you need to do something like that? Or is that your life lessons that kind of directed you in doing, making, such important decisions?
Yeah, unfortunately, the dream was, I was always holding my dream to myself. So I was not in a position. I born and brought up in a different environment. I was born and brought up not in an entrepreneurial family. I was born and brought up in a farmer family. My grandfather was a farmer. My father was a farmer. So none of them had, or even, I had a few cousins working in the engineering colleges. Other than that, I had no entrepreneurial background. So I was not sure about if I can talk about my entrepreneurial dreams to someone and get advice, but I did not do that. To be really frank, I did not do that. But I was always keeping my dream to myself and keep on looking at all the avenues to add knowledge. That to the core, I'm an engineer, but I was always sure that in the second corporate episode. So I was fortunate enough to do some experiments in the corporate life, and I tried my couple of things in the work I took up, which I found really working very well. What I learned is that if you are adding value to your customer will definitely come back to you with more and more opportunities, more and more business. So the work which I took up was like for the first experiment I did was for building an industrial business. I started with a 2-member team and grew up to a 3 million business. So with that success, the organization gave me much bigger challenges. That's how I got into the automotive world. With the success I could do in my first episode of this corporate part, they gave me an opportunity to work with Mitsubishi Electric Corporation.
Wow.
Mitsubishi Electric Corporation is the tier 1 company making all these products for world's leading car makers like Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, GM, like that.
I can totally relate to it. As an entrepreneur, how important it is actually to add value to the customer. It is just that sometimes I feel a little bit, sad to see some of our, younger generation people. They really look at getting just brand out there. But then if you start adding value, brand will naturally go out there and, play its own role. But I can see it, as you're really, it's in the real life experience right now. But now you're actually literally you matched all your experience right from the software, what you've learned, and your electronics dream. You merged both of them and playing with one of the most sophisticated thing that people are really happy to use in the cars. So how this journey has been so far in the Axia?
Yeah, I talked about my experience with Mitsubishi. So worked in Mitsubishi, and the first project I got to work was for the world's best car maker for Daimler. I mean, to develop the navigation system for Mercedes-Benz, the Generation 4. So through that experience, I learned a lot, especially about the automotive electronics, automotive electronic control unit software development, the complex process followed in this automotive world. More than that, I would say the experience I could gain from Mitsubishi Electric Corporation Japan. I mean, the way they treat their customer, the way, I mean, in Japan, there is the word used for the customer is that okiyakusama, means it is equivalent to God. So they treat customer as God.
So even I got an opportunity to interact with the people from Germany and Sweden, I mean for Volvo, and I asked the question, why do you come to all the way to Japan to make this product in Japan? Because Japan is expensive. Then why do you come to Japan? You can get it done in Germany. Then they said something. They see some great value in Japanese culture, business culture. That means 100% trustable. So that is something I learned. I mean, if you are 100% trustworthy from a customer point of view, customer doesn't look at the price. Customer is even ready to, their willingness to pay higher is there. So the most important thing is having certain values as an entrepreneur that I learned from Japan. Yeah. So coming back to that, with all these learnings from Japanese business culture, Japanese highest quality culture and automotive culture, at certain point, this is the time I should start my company. I should pursue my original dream of setting up my company, and then set up the company Axia Technologies in 2014. With a very strong confidence that I had a very good network in Mitsubishi, and through that network I had even connections to Daimler, I had connections to Volvo. With all that confidence, I started the company Axia Technologies with a focus on automotive electronics and software. And initial 3 years have been really tough. Nothing worked as you originally planned, as you originally learned. But 3 years, it took 3 years to build a strong team and to win the first automotive customer. That we, in the 2017 beginning, we started the first project for Mercedes-Benz. The project actually completed last year, that is getting into the cars. I would say that, and even Daimler people were here in Trivandrum to audit the work we do, and they said, they rated us with the rank A, which is actually highest in the process compliance, highest in the quality standards. Through that, I can say that yes, whatever the learnings I had in the Japan or the international market really helped to build this organization so far. So I'm looking forward to grow it to the next levels in the coming days.
I can just feel your passion. You got the best of the best electronics industry in the which is Japan, and you are in the located in the best of the software industry, which is India, and then you merged both of them and then created along with your passion, right? And there are really 2-3 important points that you really made here. One is, anytime when you start, it is, people, all these entrepreneurs should be prepared to go through the tough phase. Unless you do the tough phase, now you're saying highest rated. While I really congratulate you on getting into such a highest rating in that process, I want to actually bring this point for all the entrepreneurs out there is prepare yourself in the initial phase when actually the whole business is getting shaped. And I just want to ask, right, this is a very common thing. I see with most, people who think that they want to start the entrepreneurial journey is, oh my God, it's a really a tough journey. I just know that it is going to be really tough. I will not have any time for my family or my personal things. What is your opinion on that? Do you think being an entrepreneur means you don't have any other life other than entrepreneur life?
This a tough question to answer. I mean, everyone says you have to work really hard to be successful. In my experience, yes, of course, I had to work really hard. When I look back in the corporate life, I worked really hard. So for me, I don't consider it as working so hard because I'm so passionate about the work in which I'm currently in.
I'm so passionate about electronics. I'm so passionate about software. I'm so passionate about now experimenting in entrepreneurial things. So I don't consider it as working so hard. But yeah, definitely it requires a lot of time because you need to continuously learn. That's something I have been. I'm a continuous learner. I have been finding time to learn continuously, even as part of that's the reason I got into this Young Indians, because I found that this organization is providing a platform for continuous learning. Through this platform, even I could actually attend. Yeah, I mentioned about attending the G20 thing, connecting with the similar like-minded people and learning from them. Another thing, the last year beginning, I got an opportunity to attend a course in executive management course in Stanford through YI and through CIA and YI, which also kind of helped me. So what I have seen is that definitely this requires a lot of time. You have to invest in yourself. You need to continuously learn. Then only you will be able to kind of like innovate. You will be able to kind of like coming up with the innovative and creative solutions in your market. So for that, you definitely require time, but that doesn't mean that you won't be able to find time for your family. Yet definitely you will be able to find that. Only thing is you need to kind of like plan it well. I'm a early riser. I wake up around 4:30 in the morning, so I get a lot of time in the morning to do the learning part and to plan my day and the week. So I'm able to kind of like able to find time for my family as well as of now. Yeah, but the initial 3 years was really tough. I would say the initial 3 years was really tough.
I'm an early riser as well. I got up around the same time and do yoga. And that time is purely my personal time. I don't have any interruption, especially when we get up at 4:30, right? We have got that personal time. Even kids won't bother us a little bit, not even a bit. And then for me, I feel like that's a really good thing. So, but coming to your point, I think you already made another very important point. Number one, be prepared because it takes time and it demands time, entrepreneurship in the initial stage at least. And the second important point, which I really love, and I'm really kind of sensing literally in every word that you said, is be a continuous learner. That's really absolutely a key, because now if you see the world is changing, everybody who was not a continuous learner, there were so many businesses which were bankrupted just last year due to COVID. But I'm seeing that as a second important point. And third one, if I want to ask, the third one, once you get into the entrepreneurship, what gives you an edge over others in terms of being an entrepreneur? And I think I'm sensing that you've been really successful because there is something which you're continuously following, right? So you spend a good deal of time to become an entrepreneur and your product is launched, and then you're learning continuously. Is there anything else which is something which is going to give you the continuous growth in the entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. If you look at, working for these world leading companies is not an easy job, especially from a startup point of view. We started very small with a 3-member team, and now we are close to 200 engineers working for world's best companies. I would say this was a considerably good growth we could achieve. Now we are looking at growing in a different directions. so far we have been into the product engineering services for these companies. Now we are thinking about building some products which can be actually sold to these companies. For that, you need to have the right connections with these people, right network. You need to always know the right pulses of the market. You need to closely watch the market. So through the last 7 years in the Axia journey, I would say the learning I had about the particular market, generally the automotive software market, and for the total ecosystem, we have now pretty good network, pretty good learning. So from that learning, we are thinking about coming up with some products and which can be sold to these car makers or the tier ones working for them. The thing is that the market is getting really disrupted very quickly. If you look at the automotive market, has also completely disrupted by companies like Tesla. Now other giants like Daimler or BMW or any other companies are trying to catch up with the disruptions that Tesla has made. So and eventually the cars are becoming from a mechanical device to a software or electronic device, and there are plenty of opportunities in that space. The cars are becoming autonomous, cars are becoming electric, I mean from a conventional fuel engine to completely electric and autonomous thing. So for that, we see there are plenty of opportunities, and we have started investing in that space to develop some certain products. So expecting to grow in that area for the next years. That's the plan.
Wow, that's amazing. So this is a very important point, that people also should invest in the research part of it to ensure that they continuously grow. Okay, this is really amazing. So, I want to ask one thing, right? Now, once you're in this particular industry, is this something that, right now with the current market, I'm saying, you mentioned a very important point about Tesla being part of it, right? Is it very important to have a diversification as part of entrepreneurial journey, or is it something that you take it based on your, specific to each industry?
Yeah, to achieve certain level of, I use the word success. The definition of success for each person may be different. So to achieve a certain level of success, you definitely need to focus. That's what my experience says. Maybe people with diversified views might have been successful. I'm sure Tesla is another, Elon Musk is another example. For that, you need probably a different gene, or you need a different ecosystem. So within the current ecosystem we have here, I am talking about the Indian scenarios. I am talking about the scenario I am in. I'm in locally Kerala, in Trivandrum. What I have seen is that we could actually achieve the highest level of product engineering services through only because of the focus we had. If we were focusing into multiple verticals, multiple domains, instead of just automotive, I'm not sure we could have achieved this level of success. Because now, since we have been very focused, the whole team were able to learn deeply in that. Instead of going wider, we were able to kind of like go deeper as much as possible and achieve the level of knowledge which is at par with the industry, at par with the global standards. That really helped. We have actually, the goal we have internally set was, whatever we do, we should be able to do at a level where customers start respecting you. That was the goal given to the engineering team. I'm sure now at the top level people, I am talking about the engineering team, they are respected by our customers. So wow. That really helped. So the focus really helps. But at the same time, as an entrepreneur, you can think about diversifying, because you are getting a lot of knowledge from the work you do, and when you see a new problem in the market which can be solved with the knowledge you have, definitely you can diversify. That's my
So focus on one thing and become successful probably before diversifying. That's
purely my personal opinion. I'm not sure if this is the right way of doing it, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, for sure. That worked for you in getting your success of, becoming 2 people to 200 people, right? So, and also I think another very important, I call it as knowledge nugget, is that you dropped is making sure to have that network. Always be part of the network where your business relevant networks are there. So I think these are really very, very important points as I see it. And I want to say, a big thanks for you, being part of this show. Before we really kind of conclude this very, very interesting conversation, I just want to ask, is there any one single advice that you give it to the entrepreneurs before they really think about starting an entrepreneurial journey, even before starting?
I can only talk from the IT point of view. In the case of an IT, you can even take a path of the product engineering services, so you can take the path of the product. In both the cases, you need to have the right skill sets, right expertise, and you thoroughly need to study the market. So there is something called the product market fit. I mean, the product market fit means you need to study the market, and then you may be able to find out the problems and the solutions, which can be called as the products. But you need to have the right skill sets and the right resources. So if this is there, I'm sure it will be successful.
Wow. I mean, I can see that experience of the information technology through your words. And Gigi, I want to say once again a big thank you. And you have been a big asset for Young Indians. At the same time, so many people, have been really working on your R&D. I really loved having the conversation with you. And all of you people, I want to say that I hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation with Gigi. And if you have not yet subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. And also, you're going to really get more and more coming every week on Friday in Entrepreneurship Simplified. So I'll see you in the next episode with another amazing entrepreneur. Till then, we say bye-bye.
Thank you, Rajesh, for the opportunity. Thank you.